Good evening, everyone. We're going to call this meeting to order. We're calling to order the meeting of the San Francisco Democratic County Central Committee for Wednesday, February 27, 2019. My name is David Campos, and I'm the chair of the committee. We will begin by the roll call, so I will now turn it over to the recording secretary, Member Francis Shea.
All right, Member Alexander. Sorry. Member Alioto. Present. Member Baraka. Proxy. Member Bryant. Here. Member Campos. Present. Member Chan. Member De Jesus. Member Duffy. Member Duffy. Member Fewer. Member Delata. Present. Member Grove. Here. Member Gupta. Present. Member Francis Shea. Present. Member Tom Shea. Member Jones. Here. Member Kim. Member LaCroix. Member LaCroix. Sorry. I was thinking about the flavor. I just discovered that it's delicious. Member Leviton. Member Lowe. Member Mahogany. Here. Member Vandelman. Member Maxwell. Member Norton. And Member Sousa. Here. And moving on to our ex officios, Senator Feinstein. Speaker of the House, Pelosi. Congresswoman Spear. Lieutenant Governor Kumalakis. Treasurer Ma. Board of Equalization Member Cohen.
Present.
State Senator Wiener.
Here.
Assembly Member Ting. And Assembly Member Chu.
Present.
Thank you very much. Just so that people know, we're going to try to move this meeting very quickly. A number of us want to make the vigil that will be taking place in memory of Jeff Adachi. So we're going to try to get us out of here at a reasonable time so we can head over. With that, item number 2, approval of the meeting agenda. Colleagues, you have the agenda before you. Member Wiener?
Second.
Moved by Member Wiener, seconded by Member Alioto. Can we take that without objection? Without objection, the agenda is adopted. We will now move on to item 3, which is approval of the meeting minutes from the meeting of January 23rd, 2019. Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Sousa, second by Delata. Any comments or changes? Can we take that without objection? Without objection, the minutes of January 23rd are approved. The second, next item, item 4, is the general public comment. And by the way, we are live streaming the meeting on the internet, so those of you who are watching, thank you for watching. We are normally allowed up to 2 minutes, but today I'm going to limit public comment to 1 minute so that we can move the meeting forward. So if you'd like to provide public comment, please come forward. I think I have one speaker card. If you can fill it out. Okay, Han, can I get the speaker card? Okay, thank you, Susan Pfeiffer. And then if people would like to speak, please come on up. Susan Pfeiffer, Joni Eisen. Go ahead, Susan. Thank you.
Hi, Susan Pfeiffer.
Is it on? Can you turn it on?
Now it's on. I'll try to keep this short. It's an update, and I'm doing this because I want some Sophie here. Last Saturday, Swing Left had another roundtable meeting with a lot of organizations they worked with last year. Swing Left, Sister District Democracy Action, DCCC, Sophie Maxwell was representing, Resistance Lab, Team Pelosi that I was representing, Stand Up San Francisco, Sisters of the Redistrict, Resistance, and Action SF. and it was a general planning meeting for the coming year. General takeaways were we want to continue working in CA 10 and 21 to help ensure the re-election of Josh Harder and TJ Cox. Weekend voter registrations to Modesto area, and continue working on new citizen voter registration and try to break into the Sacramento new citizen voter registration, and possibly hold another Rock the Vote type event and training in San Francisco. And then lastly, our new citizen voter registration for March 13th is almost full. There are a few slots. The next one is April 17th. We should be posted soon.
Thank you. We have a few more speaker cards. Jody Eisen, I think I noted that earlier. Sienna Schenkel, Gloria Berry, Cassandra Jamie, Augustine Ramirez, Bree de Libertis, Laura Turnco, Neil Sims, and Helena Baruki. And if you can please line up in the middle and come on up as the person finishes, you can come up and begin to speak. And we have the timekeeper here will tell you how much time you have, and you each have a minute. Thank you.
Okay, hi, I'm Johnny Eisen, part of Citizens Climate Lobby tonight, and I just want to remind you that we have a resolution coming out in support of federal legislation to mitigate climate change, and it's turned on. Okay. It's called HR 763. It's the Energy Innovation and Climate and Carbon Dividend Act, and I would like to remind you that in 2014 this body actually endorsed the very policy that this act would enact, which is carbon fee and dividend. And so it's putting a price on carbon, returning all the dividends to the American households, and so that the poor and middle class come out even or ahead. It's something that we need to attack the climate change on all fronts. So this is something that can happen now. I support the Green New Deal too. Okay, thank you. And the chair of the Democratic Club supports this.
Thank you.
Okay. And SF for Democracy. Thank you.
We have a couple more speakers, Garrett Kelly, Barbara Wilson, and Alan Wong.
Hi, my name is Sienna Schenkel, and I'm also here from Citizens Climate Lobby. We are an organization that have been lobbying for a carbon fee and dividend policy with U.S. Congress for a number of years, and now it's actually a bill. As Jody mentioned, it would put a price on carbon and return the funds to households equally. And one thing she didn't mention is the border adjustment, which is a great mechanism because if other countries don't have a price on carbon, we would be charging them to make the playing field equal. And so the incentives for other countries would be to put a price on carbon, because otherwise they'd be giving up this revenue to the U.S. So it would help us a lot. Please vote for it.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Barbara Wilson, native San Franciscan. I would like to urge you to urge Pelosi and all the Democratic caucus to endorse this bill. Models predict that by 2030, 40% of the U.S. carbon emissions would be gone, and by 2050, 90% of the CO2 carbon emissions would be gone. This is endorsed by all climate scientists and almost every single economist across the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hello. My name is Gloria Berry. I was recently elected to ADM District 17. Thank you. This is my first meeting. Thank you. I just want to specifically speak on the ADM election process and what can be done to improve. For me, the biggest factor was the time frame. To just have a 2-hour window was ridiculous. It made the lines extremely long, and a lot of people I personally knew were turned off and did not vote. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hi, this is Cassandra. I'm with the Citizens Climate Lobby as well. We all know that our Earth is warming, and I want to press upon the urgency that we need to make this a high priority item. I would, ask you that you put pressure on some of our representatives bipartisan supported. It's a market option, and it's the closest we can get at this time, I think, to reducing CO2 emissions effectively. So I would ask that you really consider this bill and think through it.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Neil Sims, and I'm here to volunteer if you'll have me. I want to talk specifically about the election process for representatives to the state party. Cumbersome, difficult effort. Takes a very long time for people who are elderly or people with kids that can't afford to take the time. We're blessed by a problem created by an abundance of interest in the political process in San Francisco, different from many other congressional districts, and I think we have an opportunity here to facilitate a better process, so I'd love to be a part of that. So feel free to call on me. I'd love to jump in and be of help.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Bree Deliberatus, and I am speaking on behalf of the West Coast Pet Care Union. I am calling, asking you guys to support our resolution as we continue to bargain with our parent company, VCA and Mars Incorporated. We are hoping that you guys support a resolution for them to bargain in good faith and to bring us to a contract quickly and efficiently.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hi, I'm Laura Torito, and I'm also a worker at the West Coast Pet Care Workers San Francisco Veterinary Specialist, 600 Alabama Street, and we are asking for resolution and support for the Mars VCA to be bargaining in good faith.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Helena Barecki, and I am here to cheer the introduction of resolutions urging the passage of both the National Fee on Fossil Fuels in the form of the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act, as Joni stated, and the Green New Deal. I volunteer with both the Sunrise Movement and the Citizens Climate Lobby. Reducing risks of climate change and spurring innovation and job creation are the goals of both the Green New Deal and HR 763. The beauty of the Green New Deal resolution is that it sets a goalpost. It uses the IPCC report's data and analysis of what's needed to hold global warming below 1.5°C and sets the bar there. The missing link between knowing what's needed and getting it done is exactly what bills like the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act have to offer. Nitty-gritty, actionable details. When I say nitty-gritty, I mean the numbers are there. The starting price of the carbon fee, the dollar amount raised per year, and the explicit adjustment for inflation. When I say details, I mean the bordered carbon adjustment, which will prevent the law from getting held up in court as a tariff and avoid disadvantaging U.S. businesses. When I say accountable, I mean the dividend.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Next speaker.
Hi, my name is Garrett Kelly, and I work at Anchor Brewing Company. We make Anchor Steam beer. We recently announced to management our intention to unionize through the ILWU. So I'd like to speak in support of the resolution to ask their management to remain neutral. They've recently launched a new campaign of union busting and intentional obfuscation to try to stymie our organizing efforts. So for organizations like this to take a stand on our side, it truly does make a huge difference. We're the largest manufacturer in San Francisco, to my knowledge. There are still manufacturing blue-collar jobs here, and we truly, truly need your help. So please support the resolution for the VCA workers and Anchor Brewing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
My name is Agustin Ramirez. I'm an organizer with the International Long-Term Warehouse Union, and I'm here to thank you and ask you to please support those resolutions for San Francisco Veterinary Specialists and for Anchor. We believe that the only way to have a job with decent pay here in the city is through a union. We all have seen that. These two facilities do not treat their workers well. They are both both of these companies are owned by multi-million-dollar corporations. VCA by Mars, yes, the M&Ms, the people that produce M&Ms, and Anchor is now owned by Sapporo, the Japanese beer. So we call on everyone here to support our resolutions, and thank you.
Thank you very much. I have one more speaker card. Mary Leatherman. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Alan Long. I'm one of your ADEM delegates from the west side of the city. So I'm also here to support the ILW workers, to support them at SFDS and also at Anchor Steam. Also, I came here because Peter already sent me an email saying, hey, how can we improve the ADEM election? So first of all, I want to thank Penny Kelly and the other extraordinary volunteers that helped out and did the thankless work to put it together. I think one thing that could be improved is improving the accessibility of the website and making sure that our candidate statements can be utilized by people that want to learn more about the candidates, and also having more hours to vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Hello, I'm Mary Leatherman, and I'm here to hopefully do some creative thinking about the ADEM election and how it might better work and include everyone.
Thank you very much. Is there any other member of the public who has not spoken who would like to speak? Seeing none, public comment is closed. Thank you again to all the San Francisco Democrats who came out to support it, to speak, and those who are watching. We'll now go on to item number 5, which is officer reports, and I'll just keep my report very brief, just to let people know that we are having a fundraising event on March 7th. There's actually an email that went out from our executive director, and we are grateful to supervisors Matt Haney, Shimon Walton, and Supervisor Gordon Marr for hosting the event on our behalf. And it's a breakfast to support the work of the party, especially in terms of voter engagement and voter registration. So I would encourage all of you to please come out. And one of the things that I would simply pitch is the importance of raising funds for our federal account. And I would ask each and every one of us to make a personal commitment, if you're a member of this body, to commit to make a personal donation yourself, but also to help us raise funds. As prior chairs of this body can attest to, raising funds for the federal account is always a challenge because it requires personal donations. We can't take any corporate donation, and so we need to make sure that we have a robust federal account. We're doing pretty well, as you'll hear from some of the reports on our state account, but it's the federal account that's always a challenge. So please come out, and if you can make a donation today, I would encourage you to do that. And to those of the Democrats that are here and that are watching, please make a personal contribution to the Democratic Party. It takes enough resources to be able to do that work and the work that we're doing in terms of voter outreach. We had 75% turnout in San Francisco, and it doesn't happen on its own. It takes the work of all of us to make that happen. So with that, I turn it over to Finance, Member De Jesus. Yes. So to our Executive Director, I know that you sent out the email, but can you tell us the event, the time, and the event?
So it's at Original Joe's in North Beach on March 7th, next Thursday, breakfast from 8 to 9:30.
So Original Joe's, March 7th, Thursday, from 8 to 9:30. There's no specific amount, so if anyone can come and whatever you think you want to donate. So, but there should be an email, and there will be something on our website and our Facebook and social media highlighting the event. Member De Jesus.
So David covered a lot of it. We really do want to have a campaign. We want people to pledge on a monthly basis. I mean, we need to keep the blue wave going, and we can't wait till the last minute to ask for funds. So what we're thinking of, people pledge $5, $10, $15, $20 a month to keep us going. And what we need is the federal account. We need individual donors. So we're not talking a corporate donors or big company donations. We really need to have people fund this. And since we're going into the next 18 months, we're going to be going into getting voter registration, things that we need to do, insurance, etc. We do want to do that. So now the bond's in place, we're going to send out the Google Calendar. We are going to set the committee meeting, hopefully just by telephone, and then we're going to come up with some kind of campaign to make individual pledges. And then, as David said, we have the fundraiser breakfast, and we're also having a fundraiser in April. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So just so you know, we have a tentative date, and it's all contingent on Speaker Pelosi's calendar. So we haven't been able to finalize a date yet, and if we don't get a commitment for a date by the end of this week, we will be doing it at a different time, probably in June. But you know, the event is focused on Speaker Pelosi, so we want to find a time that's available. Unfortunately, things that are happening in DC make that more challenging for her, so we will keep you posted.
And we're anticipating a dinner with Speaker Pelosi as our main attraction. I think that would be great. I think that's it.
So we'll now move on to club chartering. Oh, Eva's not here yet. I know that there was a voter registration event, so we'll just move on to club chartering until he gets here. Oh, actually, I think he's out. He's out. But I think that, Leah, do you have a report on? No? Okay, great.
Thank you, Chair Campos. So just a few updates on club chartering. On January 27th, we had a leadership circle where Chair Campos was our featured speaker, and it was very well attended. It was at Manny's, just an informal breakfast, and we had Chair Campos discussed everything from the most recent election that just passed, what's coming in San Francisco in 2019. Also talked about the state convention and how we here in San Francisco will be hosting it this time around, and brainstormed with the people attending what we can do in terms of promoting ourselves as San Francisco Democrats. He also talked, focused most on the upcoming California election, California convention, and then a little bit on the federal. It was, people really enjoyed that format. There were several people who had never been to a ECCC meeting, weren't members of clubs, had heard about the event from our website, and just Googling about it, so that was exciting too, to see some members of the public hearing about it in terms of building our base and building the party. Well, there have also been a few people who reached out about starting new clubs and reviving new clubs, so nothing formal as of yet, but we should be hearing about them soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we now will hear on outreach for Member LaCroix.
Hi everyone, I'll keep mine really short. I will be working with our new executive director to create an outreach committee and schedule a time for us to meet within the next 2 weeks.
Great, thank you. And now our treasurer, Member Alexander.
Okay, good evening. So I will be going over we do not have a January report, and the format that we got it from the accountants was as a year-end report that included December. And so that is the very last packet you have, which is all expenses and for the year-end. And I believe they're divided into items. This one I think is just a total. Let me just check. Yes. No, they are divided into state and federal. Federal on the left, states on the right. Are there any questions on 2018 before I move on to 2019? No? Oh, okay. And then you have, it looks like this. This is the 2019 federal and state year-to-date spending. Any questions? Okay, and then the kind of overview is that total federal cash on hand we have is $2,247.40. On our PEX card, we have $678. That's for incidentals and things like that. Federal payables, you can see with $6,529.59. You can see the urgency to our Chair Campos' appeal to build the federal account. In the state committee, we have $34,112.26. We have no payables as of February 22nd, 2019. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. We will now move on to, just looking here, partnerships. Member Maxwell.
Yes, thank you. Susan Pfeiffer gave you a brief idea of what happened on Saturday. Also, there is an interest in all of these groups to participate in the convention in some way, shape, form, or fashion as volunteers or something. So we're going to be working on how that can happen. I also invited Sister District because I think it's very important for us to hear just briefly briefly about what they did, where they're going to be focusing on next. So Natalie Burdick is representing the Sister District. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you. So just a quick show of hands. Who here has actually heard of Sister District Project before? If you can raise your hands just so I get a sense. Okay, so it looks like about half of the room. So we have a great fortune here, being in San Francisco, being in the Bay Area, that we're an extremely blue area. We're very progressive. We may be the most progressive community in the United States, and that's fantastic. But what we focus on are actually all of those areas in the country that are not as blue. And our focus really is to make sure that we can flip as many of those districts as possible, or where we have a very fragile majority, to hold them. And also, because I think the Democratic Party, not here necessarily, but in general, has kind of ignored some places. They've gone really red because we just haven't invested in those areas. And so we also want to make inroads in areas like Louisiana and Mississippi, states that most of us sort of write off and just assume are not going to work. So for folks here that have time, talent, and the passion to really move the Democratic agenda forward, there's so much opportunity to do that outside of California and outside of the Bay Area. Because these races are tiny, tiny races, we're talking budgets of about $80,000. Volunteer impact and ROI in those races, from phone banking, text banking, to small donations, has a huge, huge impact. And I will give you two examples to wrap up. In Washington State, we helped elect Manka Dhingra in 2017, which turned Washington State into a blue trifecta. Because that blue trifecta happened, they passed some of the most progressive voting rights laws in the country. Just fantastic, fantastic work. And that's where we very strategically said, this is a race we can support remotely, and it's going to have a really high impact. We have won 7 out of the 10 races, all the races we've supported, close to 50 races, but 7 out of 10 we've won, because we're being really smart and targeted about where we focus those efforts. The second example, Virginia, 2017, they were having elections. Nobody else was having elections, so we decided we would focus on Virginia, which was a very heavily red state, as you'll recall. We are now within 1 seat of flipping the House and 2 seats of flipping the state Senate. But because we won seats in 2017, 400,000 people got access to Medicaid. That is the kind of impact that volunteering at this very strategic down ballot level has. So it's real impact, and it's really fantastic, and I really appreciate Sophie giving me a couple minutes to talk about it. If you're interested, come see me, or just go to sisterdistrict.com. Thank you. Go blue. Thank you.
Thank you. We now move on to our committees, beginning with communications. Member Gawan.
Thanks. Thank you, Chair Campos. So the Communications Committee met for the first time this year on Monday. Thank you to members Maxwell and Growth for being there. We have kicked off our website redesign process. I'm very excited to announce that. So we have secured a programmer. Actually, Adam Miller is here tonight, who's going to be helping us build out this new website. And we're really hoping to launch it in early April. So it's very exciting. Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Han, as well, for your help in kind of moving this forward. We're also starting to work on communications needs for the state party convention in May, starting to think about some of the collateral that we would want to have on hand. We'd like to actually have some physical collateral. We realize we don't have a palm card or any materials that talk about what the San Francisco Democratic Party does. So we want information that helps to inform San Franciscans and beyond around the work that we do, thinking about t-shirts, banners, stickers, just the full kind of set of things that we want to have on hand as thousands of Democrats come to San Francisco in May. If members have ideas or requests on ways we can really kind of elevate our brand identity or better communicate our work, please let me know, or better yet, you can come join us at the Communications Committee meeting, which our next meeting is going to be Monday, March 18th from 6 to 7:30 at Muddy Waters at 16th and Valencia. Thank
Thank you very much. And now to internships. Member Kupna.
So I just wanted to announce that the applications are now available for the Sue Bierman internship and Nancy Pelosi fellowship. So we are recruiting 2 high school interns and 4 college-age fellows to spend the summer with us in the San Francisco Democratic Party. The commitment is about between 10 to 15 hours a week. They will be paid. Currently, we're estimating about $300 a month for the high schoolers, $500 a month for the college-age individuals. So just like to request all of you, the application's on our website. It was in the recent newsletter that went out. If you have any questions, you can ask myself or Han. So please spread it to your networks. Encourage people that you know might be interested to apply. We really are hoping to have a really robust program. It's a really exciting time to be a San Francisco Democrat, and a lot of people are really interested in participating with us and the party and helping out. It's not something that they'll just be sitting around getting coffee. They'll be really helping to learn a lot. So, and I really appreciate the internship committee members. The application deadline is March 31st, and then we're reaching out to committee members. Currently, just to remind you, are Francis Shea, Mary John Braca, Leah, and Honey, I believe. In the past, also some of our former interns have participated. If anyone else is interested in participating on the internship committee, please let me know. Thank you.
So I simply want to note the following, because for those of us who were elected in 2016, this is our last year of this existing term. And as you can look at the financial statement from last year, where it's about 700,000 and 100,000, the state account, and 100,000 in federal account. We're talking about 800,000 in terms of what funded the work of this party. We had a very active year, as active a year as I've seen, and as active as that year was. Our goal for 2019 is to be even more active, and we have to, because we have a presidential race that's coming up, and we have to make sure that we in San Francisco set a pretty high bar. So I encourage all of us who are members to do everything we can to even be more involved. And so to those of you who sit on this committee, there's going to be a lot more that's going to be expected of each of us. And so I would simply ask that we collectively agree to step up all of our games, because we have to, given what's happening. So with that, we'll move on to item number 6, which is a report on the ADEM election. And there was a meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. The most important thing that I wanted to note was that apropos that ambitious year, we have a new executive director who is now on board with his first meeting. And as you can see, he did a very good job of putting it together. And it's a sign of great things to come. So with that, Han Zhu, our executive director.
Thank you, everybody. I'll keep it brief. I actually have a message from Keith, who's watching the live feed from Columbia. So I'm going to give his briefing about voter registration. Last weekend, we had a voter registration drive. Susan here helped put together at the Chinese New Year street fair. We had a great turnout of volunteers. We had great visibility. We're going to engage a lot of people, so I want to thank all the volunteers. And we're going to do more of the voter registration stuff. So if you want to help out, Keith says reach out to him on Facebook or comment on the live feed comment section, and he'll reach out to you about future events. But on my end, I'm just excited to start working. I've already met with a lot of the folks here on the DCCC, and we're excited to make this year a big one. And again, I just want to echo what David has said. We want to make sure that we're growing, great events. We're stepping up our game. We saw what we can do last year, and I think that there's a lot more we can do. But thank you.
Thank you, Han. And I can tell you that he's been working very hard. So those of you who are members of the committee, one of his goals is to meet with each and every one of you as quickly as possible. So if you haven't been able to set up a meeting, please reach out to him because he wants to hear from you. Okay? So thank you, Han. My apologies for skipping that. Item number 6, presentation of the Assembly District election meeting. And that's for the purpose of discussing potential reforms. And one thing that I would note is that we are in communication with the state party. There have been some changes and a little bit of turmoil at the state party, but we are in communication with them. And the main thing here is that we want people to know what we're doing in San Francisco. We actually worked very hard to lobby the state party to bring the convention to San Francisco. It was not something that just happened. They were hesitant to do that because of the cost of having something in San Francisco. And now that they're here, we have to make the most of it. And with that, I'll turn it over to Member Delano.
Great, thank you, Chair Campos. I'll try to keep this brief as well, but last month I'd asked for us to agendize a discussion around the ways in which we can improve the ADEM election process, because it clearly, the system's broken and it needs to be fixed. I think particularly here in San Francisco, we are seeing, as one of the members of the public said, an abundance of interest, which is frankly fantastic. This is exactly what these kinds of elections should be. They should be turning out San Francisco Democrats to participate in them. But I think these elections were not designed in many ways for the amount of turnout that we see today, not only here in San Francisco, but actually throughout the state. We're seeing record turnout for the ADEM elections in the past 2 cycles. So these elections are every 2 years. We just finished this year's in January. Congratulations to all of the delegates that were elected and those that were appointed. And so now we have 2 years till the next time. And so it really, I think, while this is still fresh in our minds around those folks here who participated, who voted, who recognize that things need to change, we wanted to have a conversation around what we might recommend to the state party and how we might start that process. So this was really a first step in the conversation, was kind of having this conversation here at the DCCC. Henny Kelly, our Region 6 director, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight, was going to provide a presentation around what the kind of current rules are that guide the ADEM elections, and also some of the confusion and concerns around some conflicting, I think, rules that different information that was shared to even her as the Region 6 director versus the state party. So Henny unfortunately couldn't be here, so I do want to thank the members of the public who came out tonight to share their feedback. And I think the next steps from here, because I also want to be mindful of time tonight, I would like to, at least in recognition of the folks who turned out tonight, to have a brief discussion amongst the members if their members have comments that they would like to bring forward around some changes. What we're planning to do from here is incorporate the feedback that folks are sharing, and I know that some folks have provided written comments, and encourage you to email us or hand us your feedback, and also to, if you're watching at home, to add on the live stream your feedbacks on our website, on our social media, please. You leverage those channels as well. And also, I would love to connect with some of the folks who came tonight who said they were interested in seeing reforms move forward. Let's talk, because I think what we'd like to do is come back next month with a draft resolution that we might move forward to the state party, and really to the bylaws committee at the state party is where we know we would need to make some recommended changes. So we'd like to get that process going, but want to make sure we have more conversations with folks, and also with our Democratic clubs and the delegates that participated and ran. So I look forward to continuing the conversation, and would ask just if any members have any comments they wanted to share tonight, and please, I welcome that, or next month. Thank you.
I know that we're trying to move a meeting, so please stay tuned. about the next meeting to have these ongoing discussions, and please send in your comments because we do want to make sure that this is as good a process as possible. Yes, Susan.
Can I make one quick suggestion for speed and expediency? Peter, is there an email address people can send their comments to?
Yes, let's have some folks send the comments to info@sfdemocrats.org.
info@sfdemocrats.org. Thank you very much, and thank you to everyone who's participated and will continue to participate on this. We'll now move on to item number 7, which is a resolution supporting Anchor Brewing Company workers organizing the workplace with the International Longshore Warehouse Union. Member Alexander.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Thank you. So I will be quick, but I first want to extend my thanks and gratitude to the folks from the ILWU International Organizing Campaign and the workers who are here today. I myself have been through an organizing campaign. I know how tough it is. I know that it can feel like the light is not there at the end of the tunnel, but it is. Keep going. It's hard. They're trying you. They're testing you. Make sure they're testing you right, and keep going until you win, because we're behind you, and San Francisco's really depending on all of us workers standing up and pushing our unions and pushing our coworkers as far as we can go, really to close this gap in wealth in this city, in this nation. And this real gap in power is what it really is, right? So we'll deal with these separately, but quickly, at least with Anchor Steam Brewing Company, the Anchor workers, over 70 have signed union cards, publicly declared their intention to organize. They initially requested recognition and neutrality from the parent company, Japan Sapporo Holdings Limited, but they are now holding closed captive audience meetings, which basically is when the boss comes in, sings you a song, either tries one of two tactics, tries to intimidate you, or try to make you feel bad, or try to make you feel guilty, or tries to ostracize the leaders, divide the workforce, cause confusion in order to, when the election happens, that people vote no. And so that is could be a very scary tactic. Oftentimes, bosses will bring people in individually, start bringing up their own personal history, talk about their children, talk about what you're going to lose. And it is very, very scary to think, well, I could lose all of this. What would it be like if, I have a sick family member and we lose health care? And so it's really, really important. And I have no doubt that this is going to pass tonight, but it's very, very important that the Democratic Party is very clear that we will stand up to anti-union intimidation. We are against intimidation of workers, and we were 100% with the Anchor Steam workers as they go to the vote, the election, to vote for their union, and then the next step in contract bargaining.
So we have, member Shea?
No, I just want to be added as a request to be added as a co-sponsor.
I know that a lot of us would like to be added as co-sponsors, so if you want to be added as a co-sponsor, you can please raise your hand. And if we can note, so member Maxwell, Mahogany, Brian, Shannon, Lowe, De Jesus, Campos, Sousa, Lacroix, Alioto, Shea, and Supervisor Fewer, and John. Okay. Can we have a motion to approve? So moved. Motion by member Lacroix, seconded by member Mahogany. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? Any abstain? Okay, so we have 2 abstentions, the Lieutenant Governor and Senator Feinstein. So it passes. Congratulations. Thank you to the workers. Thank you for coming out. And along the same lines, we have the next resolution, number 8, supporting the San Francisco Veterinary Specialists and Veterinary Centers of American Union and their bargaining efforts with Mars, Inc. And this is also something that has been brought by member Alexander. And I will note, on a personal note, that over the years I have taken my 2 bulldogs to this place where In fact, the first bulldog that passed died at this place, and he got amazing care from those workers, and I didn't know that you were not unionized. So we're with you, and with that, thank you, Member Alexander, for bringing this forward.
Absolutely, thank you. And so the VCA workers are in a different stage. They voted in their union, they have their union, they're at the bargaining table, and the boss is taking a common tactic, which is delay, hope for turnover in order to force another election to decertify the union. At the same time, always just making little comments of, the union isn't doing much for you, the union isn't doing any much for you, to try to sow doubt so that they don't have to pay the workers the fair wages and that they don't have to provide the quality services that San Franciscans who love our pets so much, just as the workers do, deserve. And so I want to lift up with this, this is the demands on the boss to bargain fairly, but also to listen to the workers' perspectives and their feedback on the quality of care and the treatment of animals. And thank you for your leadership, for your courage, and for your fight.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor. Is there anyone else? If you can please raise your hand. I think you see the names of all the people that, so you have Member Maxwell, Mahogany, Brian, Chen, Galata, Lowe, Gupta, De Jesus, Souza, Shea, Lioto, Jung, Campos. And fewer? No. Yes, fewer too. Thank you. Can we have a motion to approve? Motion by Member Gupta, second by Member Wiener. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So 3 abstentions. Feinstein, Kalawakis, and 2. Oh, Cohen, sorry. It passes. Good luck, and hopefully keep us posted. The next item is a resolution calling for an end to homeless encampment sweeps. Member Drock.
Yes, so I'm sure everyone is aware of how terrible the weather has been in the past month, 2 months. And we haven't seen any emergency shelters opened. I believe back in January, an extra 75 mats were put out when there was over 1,000 people houseless on the streets. So my resolution calls for an end to the homeless sweeps. I have some fast facts. Nearly 400 people have died homeless on San Francisco on the streets since 2016. There were 1,204 people on the wait list for shelter as of this February 26th. More homeless people die of hypothermia in California than New York. Over 70% of homeless people in SF were housed in SF before they became homeless. And also, the Democratic Socialists of America raised over $6,500 from the community to provide tents and other goodies that would keep them dry and warm. And as soon as they handed that out, it was confiscated. People are getting their tents taken away during stormy weather. So I have actually some friendly amendments. I don't know if I would read those now or just enter them into the records later.
What can you point those out?
Yes, so from Member Shea, it's just clarifying, making sure that all the residents people just say individuals to keep it consistent. And then from Member Bryant, in the last sentence after DCCC urges San Francisco to declare emergency plans to require opening of 1,000 beds and shelter during poor weather conditions, and then expedite building navigation centers.
So can we have a motion to amend the resolution along those lines? So motion by Member Souza. Is there a second? Second by Member Galata. Can we take the motion to amend without objection? Without objection. Anything else? Member Shea. So if you want to be a co-sponsor, you can please raise your hand. So Member Mahogany, Bryant, Chen, Lowe, Shea, De Jesus, Souza, Alioto, Campos, and then anyone else as co-sponsor and comments? Member
Sorry, one last thing. Member Lowe just reminded me that I would also like to add that I'd like to forward this to the mayor and board of supervisors. I know folks were advocating for this today at the BOS as well.
So can we have a motion to approve? Motion by Souza, second by Mahogany. Colleagues, any comments? Member Shea. Conche.
Thank you, Chair. To the sponsors as well, thank you for bringing this forward. I just want to let the committee know some of the concerns I have with this resolution as it's written. Obviously, we're all very concerned about the homeless plight in San Francisco. It's been going on here for many decades. But this resolution seems to allow or promote a right of encampment in San Francisco, which, if to my right, Member Alioto remembers as well, because she was right on the front lines, a right of encampment in San Francisco can create very serious problems for the rest of San Francisco. City Hall did sanction something like this almost 30 years ago. For almost 2 years, a massive encampment established itself in front of City Hall and Civic Center. It was euphemistically known as Camp Agnos because it was ordered by the former mayor. And it was done for humanitarian purposes because there was a growing crisis back then of homelessness in San Francisco. Unfortunately, it's an unsustainable model as the health epidemic surrounding hundreds and hundreds of people living in a concentrated area such as the Civic Center is untenable from a health perspective. You don't need to go very far but to look to LA to find out what's going on down there with their typhus outbreak. Typhus, it's a word that hasn't been heard apparently since the medieval era. And it's now sweeping through LA in a way that's never been seen before. There are also other common concerns that happen in large encampments of people who are unbathed, unhoused, and have no health or security around them. Hepatitis A, streptococcus, also known as trench fever. These are basic concerns that we should all be thinking about as we embark on trying to be humanitarian about this epidemic, this crisis that we're facing. We are all concerned about the weather. It's absolutely horrendous out there, and to have people living in the streets in this is absolutely unconscionable. However, giving a resolution to basically promote unrestricted encampments in San Francisco is not the answer either. Unfortunately, that is just the reality of it. And so I'm going to be voting no, just because I think that the health department needs to have a clear, direct line of intervention to make sure that if and when some of these encampments become untenable for the sake of all of us and the rest of our community, that they do need to be cleared and they do need to be relocated, just even if it means picking them up, moving them so that they can get clean and putting them back down again until shelters or permanent housing can be developed. So those are my comments. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Member Souza.
Good evening. We are in a housing crisis, and we have, a problem with affordability. And it's unfortunate that we have so many families sleeping on the street sidewalks. I speak in favor of this motion because, the cost of housing is unbearable for this family to find somewhere affordable where they can live. And until we find a solution that is more equitable for everyone, I recommend that we take a position on this and, advocate on behalf of these families that unfortunately don't have another alternative but to sleep outside. And, I urge you to support this because this is a human rights issue. We must stand with the families. Thank you.
Member Bryan.
Oh, I just had a question, but Member Shea said that he was already going to be voting no, but I was wondering if he was going to make a friendly amendment to my thing about the encampments, but I just wanted to clarify that I'm not advocating for encampments to continue. Obviously, I want everyone in a home, and nowhere in my resolution does it say, at the end of the resolution, it says, if there's no alternative shelter offered or provided, and the SFDCCC urges San Francisco to declare emergency plans to require opening of 1,000 beds and shelter during poor weather conditions, and also expedite building navigation centers with services that you described. So that was just my direct response.
Member Bryan.
Thank you. So I'm going to vote in support of this because
As someone who works for the city and lives in the city, I've just seen this homeless crisis just turn tragic. And I want to say about the Department of Homelessness Services that they need to learn to be more nimble and agile and act fast, the way they do in other emergencies, like there are fires. As a city employee, we're getting emails right now about an atmospheric river, which I've never heard of. And so that means we're going to get dumped with tons of rain. And yet I see nothing being offered to the homeless. I don't see it with my eyes. I don't hear about it at work. I work for Human Services Agency. So there's not enough being done. And I just want to say, you know, it hurts me because when I walk through the city of San Francisco as a person, I think, what crevice would I hide in if I was homeless? Where would I find shelter when this rain comes down? That's what I think as a person. But if I was the director of homeless services, I would be walking through the city trying to identify sites night and day where I could open up emergency shelters, gymnasiums, community centers. That's all I would think about. Where even if it's people in tents, consolidate them into a parking lot where they can find shelter. And yes, I think we should have restrooms and we should have other services. But I just wanted to say that, you know, our city is in a huge crisis, so I'm voting emphatically in favor of this, and I want to see the Department of Homelessness Services step it up.
If I may just make one comment. As a supervisor who worked to move people out of encampments, I would not support the resolution that said that you have a right to have encampments in San Francisco. I don't think encampments work for anyone, including the people who are there. But I also can tell you this, that while it's not safe to have encampments, it's also not safe or humane or actually good public policy to remove people from these encampments without giving them a place to go. When we remove encampments, we actually have a place where we put people. Because if you're removing them from that space without giving them that place to go, you're not really solving the problem, you're just moving them somewhere else. And so I think that's what this resolution is about. It's actually about saying we don't want encampments, but before you remove people, give them a place to go. And that's what I think is going on here. So with that, if we can, we're going to have I think a motion. I think has already been moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. No. So Wiener, Tom Shea. Any abstentions? So we have Assemblymember Ting, Lieutenant Governor Bournakis, Member Alioto. No, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Member Feinstein, Member Cohen, and Member Chu. And Member Jung. Thank you. So it passes. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the next item, which is item number 10, which is an item by Member De Jesus, resolution regarding U.S. military intervention in Venezuela.
So I would like to read the resolution, but before I do, on the third whereas paragraph, very last line, where it says toward increased military adventures abroad, I'd like to take the AD off and just call it ventures abroad, and at the very end of the sentence after the semicolon where it says and, just I want to change that to now. Wait, I want to read
Can we have a motion to amend along those lines? A motion by Member Maxwell, seconded by Member Alexander. Can we take the motion to amend without objection? Without objection, amended.
All right, so this is a resolution opposing U.S. military intervention in Venezuela. I'm working with Tom Gallagher on this, and I'm asking him to speak to it, but I want to read it for the people at home. So come on in, Tom. But it says, whereas the United States Congress and many voters have expressed concerns regarding foreign governments potentially interfering with 2016 elections for the President of the United States, and whereas the United States government has a long ignominious and disastrous history in intervening in the affairs of other nations, particularly
turn it on, please.
Better. Thank you, Petra, and thank you to the committee for the opportunity to speak to this. Excuse me. As Americans, very few of us are going to have the opportunity or the time to become expert in Venezuelan politics. For us to know where President Maduro might be right, might be wrong, what virtues the opposition might have or not, is going to be always very difficult for us to know. On the other hand, as Americans, we have an obligation to know what our government is doing in regards to Venezuela, in our name, with our money. We know that the National Security Advisor, John Bolton, has been photographed holding a memo pad on which he has written 5,000 troops to Colombia. We know that he has quipped about sending Venezuelan President Maduro to Guantanamo. We know that the President's special representative for Venezuela, Elliot Abrams, has a history of attempting to overthrow foreign governments and hiding that fact from the public, that in 1991 he pled guilty to 2 counts of misleading or withholding information from Congress as part of the Iran-Contra scandal. We know that there's a serious economic crisis in Venezuela, but do we know why? We know less about that. The United Nations last year sent a special rapporteur, Alfred de Zayas, to the country to ask that question. His answer was there were 3 factors. One was the inability of the Venezuelan government to rapidly enough get away from dependence on oil. Number 2 was the crash in the price of oil. And number 3 was American sanctions. And he pointed out that those sanctions began under the last administration in 2015, and that in fact the attempt to undermine the government started with the rise to power of Hugo Chavez in 2002. He compared the whole effort to the U.S. effort to overthrow Salvador Allende in Chile. We know also that Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves in the world. We know that American oil companies and all of the big ones tend to believe that that oil belongs to them. It's just inconveniently located under other people's sand, usually, soil at this point. Alfred McCabe, the former acting director of the FBI, says in his new book that he heard the president say, we should be at war in Venezuela. They're right in our backyard and they have all this oil. In conclusion on all of this, it seems to me that with the disgraceful history, frankly, that this country has in interfering in Latin American politics, and with the justifiable sensitivity that Americans now have about interference potentially in our last presidential election, I suggest it should be clear to all of us that the United States should not be about the business of attempting to overthrow the Venezuelan government. Thank you.
Thank you. Colleagues, any comments or questions? We can have a motion on the resolution. Motion by Member Croft. Okay, and seconded by Member Mahogany. Those who want to be added as sponsors, please raise your hand. So it's Sousa, Campos, Lowe, Chen, Groff, Alexander, Mahogany, Maxwell. Oh, and Alioto and Lacroix. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions. So Jung, Wiener, Ting, Kolonakis, Feinstein, and Tom Shea. Thank you. Oh, sorry, and Cohen and Chu. Thank you, it passes. Thank you very much, Member De Jesus, for bringing that forward. Next item number 11, a resolution urging Congress to pass a national fee on fossil fuels and hold hearings on the Green New Deal. Thank you to Member Galata, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Great. Thank you, Chair Campos. I don't think I need to convince anyone here that we're in a climate crisis. I do just want to acknowledge and thank the Citizens Climate Lobby for your advocacy on this bill, which has bipartisan support. Again, this is the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. It was introduced last year, was reintroduced this year. we have better odds of it moving forward. And as I said, it has bipartisan support. So there is agreement on both sides of the aisle on this issue. Congresswoman Spear is a co-sponsor of the bill, and I want to just thank her for her leadership and support. I want to also thank Joni Eisen for her work on this resolution and bringing this forward. It's important. We need all ideas on the table when it comes to addressing our climate crisis, and this is a huge step forward if we can get this through at the national level, and we need to do even more. So I urge, hope all my colleagues will support this tonight. Thank you.
So we have a motion to approve. Motion by De Jesus, second by Souza. Who wants to be added as a co-sponsor? Please raise your hand. So we have Alioto, Souza, Campos, De Jesus, Chen, Supervisor Fewer, Alexander, Member Maxwell, Member Mahogany, Member Bryant, Member Lacroix. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, Member Kolonakis, Member Feinstein, Member Tanchet, and Member Cohen. Thank you, it passes. Thank you very much, Peter, for bringing that forward. Thank you. Number 12, new business. Colleagues, anything new to report? I simply want to note the event that we talked about earlier. Again, a fundraiser for the San Francisco Democratic Party, hosted by Supervisors Walton, Marr, and Haney, Thursday, March 7th, from 8 a.m. to 9:30 at Original Joe's. The address is 601 Union Street. Look forward to seeing you there. And now, the last item, and I will turn it over to Peter Galata. Do you want to say a few words, or no? But I simply want to know our last item is to adjourn in memory of Jeff Adachi. A lot of us are looking to leave this meeting so that we can head over to the vigil. I don't know that anyone can really capture all the things that Jeff Adachi did. His legacy is, I think we're still scratching the surface of everything that he has done and what he has meant for the city and county of San Francisco. And I think that there are so many people whose lives have been touched by Jeff Adachi. And the one thing that I would say is that anyone who is struggling, anyone who is having a hard time, anyone who is unpopular, anyone who is disenfranchised, whoever that is, they just lost their biggest champion in the city and county of San Francisco. Long live Jeff Adachi, and tonight we will be adjourning in his memory. I know that some people worked with him, and Member De Jesus was one of them.
So I want to say I worked with Jeff when he was a young lawyer. Started working with him in 1986, and I worked in the public defender's office. He took that office and he ran with it. He brought social services. He upgraded the investigations. He brought immigration services. He protected his deputies. Every year when I was there, they would have layoffs because of the cuts. He refused to do layoffs. He demanded more money. He had services for people released from jail. He was so innovative in his thinking. They brought the anti-jail motion, which really unfairly targets the poor and minorities. He was just he was a wonderful man. He was a fighter, and he was a progressive thinker, and he had so many more ideas. It's such a loss to the city.
I want to give anyone who wants to say anything else an opportunity, and the only thing that I would say that no matter how much some of the folks that Jeff fought in his capacity as public defender tried to tarnish his legacy, that legacy will not be tarnished, because what he has accomplished represents the very best of San Francisco. So our thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. And now I ask you to join me in the vigil. And yes, Member Thompson.
I'd just like to echo Member De Jesus' comments, as well as to add that he was an extremely talented individual, a fighter not only for the downtrodden and reforming the public defender's office, but we went to a premiere for a documentary he developed called You Don't Know Jack. And haven't seen it, go find it because it's an incredibly well done, professional produced documentary about a little known actor named Jack Sue, who was on. No. Barney Miller, thank you. Yeah, so long ago. But anyway, it was incredible. He produced it, he directed it, he filmed it, he wrote it, and then he came and debuted it and spoke about it. And we were just sitting there in awe. We had no idea that Jeff had this side to him, that he was so creative in this way. And here we saw just an amazing talent, and the way he was describing Jack Sue and the discrimination that he faced as an Asian American actor in the 70s in the United States was amazing, and how he prevailed. So he was really a beacon in our Asian American community, really right up there with the best of them, and he will be missed.
So he was a Renaissance man. So Tammy Bryan, I think you have the last word. Oh yes, and then Andrani Ora.
Is it up? No, sorry. So I'll make it really quick because I do want to get to the visual too. I just want to say that he was actually the first local electoral politics campaign that I worked on when he was actually the underdog and he wasn't expected to win. And when he won, it was a great victory. And then all he did after that was the amazing work he did. But I just want to say that because of him, we know that the Fillmore, the Bayview, all these districts are safer. But I felt in the Fillmore when he established Mo Magic. And so he will never be forgotten, and I really lost it on Friday night when I got the news and my neighbor called 911 because she thought I was being assaulted. But I'm going to miss him tremendously, and we have to keep the fight to honor his legacy, keep fighting for his issues.
Member Aliota, I think you have the last word on this.
I just wanted to say, if I can get through this unemotionally, that Jeff Adachi was one of, it's hard to say was, one of the most incredible class acts as an elected official that this city has seen in a long time. He would never criticize people. He would pick the phone up and he would call them and say, hey, let's go to lunch and let's talk about this. When I won the Wonder Bread case, I will never forget, after that, Jeff Adachi called me once a year to come give a speech to his public defenders about closing arguments. And so I started to go see his closing arguments, and you should have seen him in front of a jury. He was incredible. Such a class act. San Francisco has lost a true hero and a true legend, and if you ever hear anybody say anything negative about him, you put them in their place, because Jeff Adachi was one of the classiest acts our city has had.
So if I may ask that we close the meeting with a moment of silence in his memory. Meeting is adjourned in the memory of Jeff Adachi.